Okay, so for our deep dive today, we're looking at a stack of sources coming out of the occupied West Bank. And really, the headline is just the tip of the iceberg.
It really is.
We're looking at the demolition of a home. It belonged to a Palestinian prisoner, Abdulkarim Sanobar.
Yeah.
But the deeper you get, the more this stops being just about one building. And it starts feeling like a crash course in international law.
It's a perfect example of that. You see the military action on the surface, blowing up a house. But when you start asking why it happened and then who it really affects, you run headfirst into this massive disconnect between military policy and human rights standards.
So let's start with the why then. The catalyst for this, and our sources are very clear on this, was a bomb attack back in February.
Right.
Sanobar is the one accused of planting the device.
Right.
But there's a detail in the reports that, it really jumped out at me. The target wasn't a military base or a crowded area. It was empty buses.
And that is such a crucial distinction to make. We're not, downplaying a bomb attack. That's obviously a very severe security incident.
Why, of course.
But context is everything in law. So you have an accusation that involves empty vehicles, and the state's response isn't just to arrest the suspect, which they did, by the way, but to then go and physically obliterate his family's home.
That's the part that feels so disproportionate, right? You go from an attack on property, the buses, to the total destruction of a home.
Exactly.
And this is where the human rights organizations in our source material just start waving all the red flags. They aren't just calling it harsh. They're using a very specific term for it.
Collective punishment.
Exactly, collective punishment.
Yeah, and it's probably good to define that because it's a term that gets thrown around a lot. Essentially, it means you're penalizing a whole group for the actions of just one individual.
Which brings us back to Sanobar's status. The reports call him a prisoner. He's already in custody.
He's already been removed from the situation.
Right, he's facing trial or serving time, presumably.
Yeah.
So he's already locked up. Blowing up the house doesn't really punish him, not physically. It punishes the other people living there.
That's the core of the argument. It leaves his family homeless. And that's what the rights groups are honing in on. They're basically asking, you have the suspect. Why are you now going after the shelter of his relatives who haven't been charged with any crime?
It's a heavy question. And on the legal side, they're taking it even further. They aren't just saying it's unfair. They are explicitly labeling this a war crime. That is a massive accusation to make.
It is, but, in international law, those words have a very specific, very deliberate weight. The Fourth Geneva Convention explicitly prohibits collective penalties.
So it's not just a moral argument.
Not at all. By using the term war crime, these groups are saying this isn't some domestic policy issue. They're arguing it's a violation of the actual laws of armed conflict. They're drawing a hard line that says civilians and their property have to be protected regardless of what a relative may or may not have done.
It just creates such a stark contrast. On one side, you have the military's rationale, which are usually framed as deterrence.
Right, the idea that it will make others think twice.
And on the other, you have these legal standards that are essentially screaming that you cannot achieve security by punishing innocent people, even if they're related to the accused.
And that's the friction point we're stuck on here. It's the difference between what's seen as effective for a military objective versus what's considered just under international law.
So, to sort of boil this all down for you listening, we have an attack on empty buses, a prisoner who is already in custody, and a home that's been reduced to rubble. It really forces you to ask where the boundaries of accountability lie.
It certainly does.
So here's a thought I want to leave you with. If a justice system is designed to hold the person who committed the crime accountable, what does it say about that system when the punishment is deliberately designed to spill over onto the people standing right next to them? Thanks for listening.